Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be part of this Reset Your Nervous System weekend with the Westfield Institute and Isaac Garcia. I am joining to close each day with a very soothing, restorative practice of yin yoga and yoga nidra. And so I wanted to provide you with a few tips and tricks going forward, things that you can bring into the workshop, things that you can take with you after the workshop to help tap into parasympathetic nervous system response. Parasympathetic nervous system is our rest and digest system. This turns on when we are safe, when we are calm, when all of our needs are being met. And it's a state of being that ideally we get to spend most of our waking lives in. Sympathetic nervous system, on the other hand, comes online when we need to be alert, when there's danger, when we need to move quickly, and we need to be hyper focused and aware of our surroundings. And unfortunately, in our modern day in society, most of us stay in that hyper alert sympathetic nervous system for the majority of the time, which can be very stressful on the body. It can cause anxiety or vice versa, right? Anxiety causes the sympathetic nervous system response, which shuts down rest and digest, and your body isn't able to relax in that state. So I want to talk to you a little bit about my favorite three tips for just easily tapping into parasympathetic nervous system response. Number one is the breath. It is the tool that you always have with you wherever you go, wherever you are. It is something that is mobile and it is available to you. It is free. So, breath work can come in many different ways. There's so many different ways to explore pranayama in from a yogic perspective, but they all have different effects on the system. There is one particular breath style that is really soothing for nervous system, and that is to elongate the exhale, make the exhale a little bit longer than the inhale. And I'm going to just quickly walk you through that. So if you imagine breathing in your own natural breath in, counting it, right? So let's see. Inhale for a count of 4, maybe. And then, like, if your natural breath in is for a count of 4, then see if you can extend your exhale for a count of 5. Or maybe even a count of 6, right? So notice what your natural inhale breath is, count it, breathe in. And then see if you can take 1 or 2 extra counts to exhale all the air out. So in this way, when we practice like this, the exhale breath becomes a little bit longer than the inhale breath. And this is very, very soothing for the nervous system. That's tip number 1. Tap into the power of the breath. Extend your exhale, make it just a little bit longer than your inhale. Easy tip and trick for parasympathetic nervous system. Number 2, it is called the emotional freedom technique, sometimes referred to as tapping. So we have all of these high frequency energy points on our bodies. In the yogic tradition, we call those marma points that when we tap them, like simply just tapping them, they're very soothing for our bodies, for our nervous system. So this is actually one I'm tapping the outer edge of the pinky side of my palm with my opposite hand. It doesn't matter which hand taps which hand. Like if you're right-handed, you can use your left hand to tap that outer right hand. That's usually my default. You could try it both ways, right? So now I'm using my right hand to tap the outer palm, the pinky edge of the palm. And as I do this, I'm mindfully breathing. This is a little technique. When I worked in the corporate world, I would oftentimes, if it was sitting in a meeting that was really intense, my anxiety level was starting to skyrocket through the roof. If I had a table in front of me, I would just kind of lightly tap under the table. Nobody could see me doing it, right? Second marma point is the chest. So if you go to your collarbones and go out a few inches until you feel that kind of tender place on your pectoralis major muscles, it's tender right there. That's what we're going to take just gently, 2 fingers, and lightly tap. Again, checking in with the breath as you go. Tap, tap, tap. Just gentle, light tap. A couple more marma points. One is right underneath the bottom lip and above the chin. Tapping right there gently. You're never like hammering on yourself, just a gentle, gentle tap. And also right above the lip and right below the nose. Another spot. And lastly, there are many more than this, but I want to keep this short. So, lastly, underneath the eyes, that like where the skin is nice and soft, right above the cheek, right underneath the lower lid. Tap, 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 nice and gentle right there. So that is the emotional freedom technique, also known as tapping. You can look that up online if you're wanting to dig into the science of why that works and where it comes from and who created it. But those are like my simple go-tos. And then last but not least, when I am having a yin yoga practice or a restorative yoga practice, or even just lying in bed trying to go to sleep at night, um, another thing that you can do for parasympathetic nervous system is to prop up the backs of the knees and add weight to your belly. These are very soothing places to add support to the body. Backs of the knees is a trigger point for parasympathetic nervous system response. So if like for example, if when your legs are stretched out long, like if you're lying on the floor in Shavasana and there's space in between the backs of your knees and the mat, roll up a towel or a blanket, or even use a pillow, slide it underneath the backs of the knees. This also helps release the low back, the lumbar spine. So it's just a nice little addition for settling the body, settling the nervous system. And then one other trigger point is the belly, adding weight to that, like a nice weighted blanket if you have one. You could fold up several towels and blankets. You could add pillows. You could ask your small child, or if you are lucky enough to have a kitty cat who will sit still on your low belly for the duration of your Shavasana or maybe a yoga nidra practice. That is so, so soothing. So those are my top three tips. Feel free to include those in your practice throughout the weekend and take them off the mat and into your life.